Hi, welcome to BONITA'S kitchen and thank you for joining us. What I'm going to be showing you how to do today is brining pork riblets or beef. So before we get started, I want to touch a little bit about what brining is. It's really salting and pickling, and traditionally in Newfoundland we salt beef, salt pork riblets with our jigs dinner. And for those of you that don't have access to salt beef or salt pork riblets, this is a very simple recipe that I'm going to show you how to make yourself, how to keep it, and to keep looking at it, watching to make sure that it continues to brine. So let's get started on showing you how to do your own brining. So what we're going to be using is 1.5 cups of coarse pickling salt. I got about 6 riblets. You could use as many as you want, just as long as when you put it in the container that we're going to be using, and I'll touch base on that a little more, you got to make sure it's totally covered. And we're going to be using water. Now let's get started. So what we would do first, you start off by boiling your water with the salt in it, which is 1.5 cups of salt. And this salt is very coarse. We don't want that just sitting on our beef. We want to just have it looking like this. It's just like clear water, but the salt is in it. This is very salty, and it needs to come after it's boiled to room temperature. So that was 12 cups of water. I'm going to put my boiler to the side because I've done mine in advance and it's room temperature, so I can show you. I've got as well a bucket that salt beef or salt riblets was usually in. But you could use a bowl with a lid. You got to have a lid because it's got to be covered at all times. So now I'm going to show you the next step to brining your pork riblets. So this is what your riblets is going to look like. Now when you go to your supermarket, you can ask the butcher to cut you small pieces like this, or if you got one full rack of ribs, you can cut it yourself, just in small pieces, because it's got to fit into the bucket or the bowl that you're going to be storing it in. Before I get started showing you how to layer your pork riblets into the bucket, you want to make sure that you have your bucket cleaned really well and dried, because you don't want for anything else in it, because once you put your pickling juice in there, you're not going to be able to open it anymore until after at least a week. So this is what I'm doing here. As you can see, I'm layering all of the beef, all of the riblets, and also beef. You could use, you can get a nice beef roast of your choice and cut it in pieces. I like riblets. This is why I'm going to show you riblets. And if you have never had them before, I think you may like to try it, and you would like it too. And if you don't have a little bucket like this or a bowl with a lid, maybe ask your grocery store butcher to see if they got one in their place that you could buy or just have. And before you start putting your pork riblets into your bucket or your bowl, make sure it's cleaned in cold water, and you can even soak it in cold water for maybe 10-15 minutes. Okay, so I'm going to show you the next step. So what our next step is adding our pickled water, which is our salt that was boiled in the water and then brought to room temperature. So I got 12 cups here. I'm probably not going to need it because I only got 6 ribs in here. You can have it almost to the top, just as long as all of the water or the broth is covering it. So you just start pouring it all into your bucket. So I'm going to continue pouring it in. So it doesn't matter if you don't use the full 12 cups, because you can just discard it. But you've got to cover the meat totally. So I'm going to fill it up to about right there. And also what you would need to do is just bob it up and down a little bit to make sure it's equal in liquid, and then I got a ceramic bowl here just for a weight. You could use a bowl, you could use a mason jar with a little bit of water in it, or you could use whatever you need to keep the meat or the pork down into the bucket. Okay, so the next step is to take your lid, put over the top. Remember, you got your bowl up on the top of the meat. You're going to totally seal your bucket. You make sure that it's totally sealed. And what we're going to do is store this bucket of beef or pork riblets in the fridge for up to a week. And then after a week, you're going to take it out, and then I'm going to show you what you're going to do. Okay, so this is a bucket of pork riblets that I had sitting in the fridge for a week. So now what I'm going to do is show you what it looks like inside. Okay, so this is my salt riblets that I done a week ago. So I put a bowl on top. I'm going to take that out. And what you need to do, you need to take this is what your salted pork riblets is going to look like. Or I do have a piece of beef in here as well. This is a piece of beef. Take it all out of your bucket, put it onto a plate, because what you're going to do now, you're going to check to make sure that there's no salt build up in the bottom, and if it gets a little sticky or if it looks like the water needs to be changed, this is when you're going to do it. But I'm going to show you now how to do that. So after you've taken all the pork riblets out of your bucket, you want to check the pickle, which is to see if it's just running like this and not stringy or thick, and it's not. So now you'll just put it all back into your bucket. This is a piece of beef, this one, and you can see that it's starting to change color. That's because the salt is now starting to pickle this beef. And then I'll talk a little bit more about that to let you know what that means. So what I'm doing now is putting all of my pork riblets back into my bucket, or if you don't have a bucket, you could remember to use a bowl. You can't use any metal because salt will rust metal, so it's got to be plastic or glass. If you can get a nice big glass container that got a lid on it. And what I'll do after is put the bowl back on top, because now I need to reseal this again. So once the bowl is down, all the liquid is rose up, and then you're going to put your lid back down and seal it like we did the first one. So now we got to date it. You always got to make sure you dated it, just in case you got more than one bucket in there. But you want to know when you made it, so that that'll give you a good idea when it's ready to start eating it. And for those of you that is not really sure about what I am showing you here today, salted pork or salt beef, which is brining your beef. This is a traditional Newfoundland meal. We would have salt riblets or salt beef with our traditional Newfoundland jigs dinner. So after you've checked the pickle after 1 week, it's pretty well ready to go. After that, you can take out what you would need. It would be better if you would leave it longer, but if you can't wait, like myself, you can take out a piece or two, put it into cold water. Because it's salty, you want to take some of that salt off now before you cook it. So today was pretty much showing you how to brine your own beef or pork ribs. If you want to know how to do the opposite, get it ready for cooking, you can just visit my Jigs Dinner website, and that'll show you exactly what you would need to do to follow through with cooking this. And I will also share that link for you on my website page, so that you will have access if you need to find it. This ends our episode of brining pork riblets or beef today. I hope you found this episode helpful for you. And if you haven't already done so, please subscribe to BONITA'S Kitchen on my YouTube page. Up at the top right hand corner, just click the link, it'll show you what to do, so more people can get to enjoy our traditional Newfoundland recipes. You can also visit me on www.bonitas'skitchen.com and also on my Facebook page. I also would like to thank all of our viewers once again for sending in your suggestions, comments, and your beautiful stories. So right now, from my kitchen to yours, thank you, and you have a wonderful day.